Without objection.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And also, before I begin my remarks, I would like to also include into the record 2 eulogies that many of us actually heard personally given in Findlay, Ohio, when we attended a very wonderful service for our colleague Mike Oxley recently. And these 2 specific eulogies are from his son Elvis and from Jim Conselman, who is his longtime devoted Chief of Staff.
Without objection.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in honor of Mike Oxley, who served in this body for 25 years and who sadly passed away from lung cancer the first day of this year, January 1st. Today would have been Mike's 72nd birthday, and he'll be missed by those of us who had the pleasure and the honor of knowing him. I served with Mike in this House for a dozen years, 12 years, from 1995 to 2007, and I'll always remember that time very fondly. Mike Oxley was a lot of things: an attorney, an investigator, a leader, a competitor, an avid golfer, and so many more things. He was dedicated to serving his community and serving the people of the state of Ohio and the people of our entire country. Mike graduated from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio in 1966. Our Speaker also, Mr. Ryan, Paul Ryan also, and my son, and many other distinguished people are graduates of Oxford, of Miami University in Oxford. And Mike graduated with a degree in political science and obtained his law degree from the Ohio State University. Following law school, Mike was a special agent with the FBI, working primarily in Washington and Boston and New York. In that position, he learned a number of investigative skills that he would later use here in Congress. After his time with the FBI, Mike returned to Ohio and began a private law practice. But he was called to service once again when he was elected to the Ohio House of Representatives in 1972. He served in the Ohio House until 1981, when he was elected to Congress in a special election to fill a vacancy upon the death of Congressman Tennyson Geyer. Mike would represent the peoples of Ohio's 4th Congressional District for the next 25 years. Upon his retirement from Congress in 2007, Mike continued to find ways to serve our nation when he was in the private sector. He was a member of the Board of Trustees for the University of Findlay, and he remained active at his alma mater, Miami University. Most recently, he was a senior advisor on the Board of Directors of NASDAQ OMX Group, Inc. After being diagnosed with non-small cell lung cancer, a type of lung cancer usually affecting non-smokers like Mike, he joined the Board of Directors of the Lung Cancer Alliance. He would dedicate much of his remaining time in fighting lung cancer, including serving as chairman of the Lung Cancer Alliance Board beginning in 2014. Mike was a very good man. He really was. He was a family man. In fact, his wife Pat, his son Elvis, his grandson Max, and other family members, as well as his Chief of Staff Jim Conselman, are with us in the gallery this evening. And as they know, he loved life, and he had a very infectious laugh. He was a golf enthusiast. He loved sports of all sorts and regularly played pickup basketball with other members. But for many who served with him, we will never forget his dedication to the congressional baseball team and the baseball game. He viewed the game as a chance for members from both sides of the aisle to put aside their differences and engage in a friendly context of America's pastime, all while raising money for charitable causes. But that didn't mean he didn't want to win. He did. In fact, he was so dedicated to the game that he was always trying to recruit new players to improve the Republican prospects on the diamond. Not surprisingly, in the 8 games that Ox managed the Republican team, we beat the Democrats 7 times. We've gone downhill from there. At times, though, Mike's competitive streak may have gotten the best of him. In the 1994 game, Ox was playing first base when then Representative, now Senator Sherrod Brown, was racing to beat out a ground ball. As Ox reached for an errant throw, the 2 men collided, and Mike broke his arm. You'd think that might discourage him from playing in the future, but the very next year, there was Ox taking the field again and leading the Republican team. But that is who Mike Oxley was, a true competitor who never backed down from a challenge. And yet, he approached challenges, whether it was the congressional baseball team or a divisive fight here on the House floor with a positive, optimistic demeanor, a smile on his face, and usually a kind word for those in the opposition. Put another way, he would disagree without being disagreeable, which is an admirable trait and an invaluable skill in all areas of life. Here's what I will remember most about Mike Oxley. He was a friend and a colleague, and more importantly, he was a decent, genuine family man who was gracious and well-liked by everyone who had the pleasure of serving with him. He will be missed. To Mike's wife, Pat, and his son, Elvis, and his grandson, Max, and the entire Oxley family, please know that those of us who knew Mike are saddened by your loss, but that we appreciate the time you allowed us to spend with him here in the United States Congress. You are in our thoughts and our prayers. God bless all of you. And there are many other members who will be sharing some of their remembrances during this special order. And I would like at this point to turn to one of our colleagues also from Ohio, who was a very, very good friend of Mike Oxley and just a great American himself, Mr. Pat Tiberi from the great state of Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chabot. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.